Okay, I wanted to do a real quick summarization of both of what's on both the first two videos of Sci Fi Revelation. So, in the first one, I want to mention that he calls himself a Methodist, and that's one of the things I was going to say when I was showing the letter that I received from Lucasfilm, and there was a couple other things I wanted to go over, but I'm going to try to go over the evidence really fast so that you understand exactly what I'm trying to say in this whole video and both videos put together. And I'm going to do a quick summarization here, so bear with me for a second. Okay, here's a picture of me when I was about that age, when I was around 7. My family and us lived on Riata Boulevard, 5513, Louisville, Kentucky. Here's an image of that house from Google Earth. And you can see the house on the right with the tan-colored roof was 5707 Robinwood Road. When I switched to that, you'll see 5513. That's my father, Conrad, there. And this is a public record. You can get them from the Louisville Free Public Library. There's 5707 Robinwood Road. Jack Hemberger lived there. He was George Lucas's cousin. They worked together and took Jedi Knights in the Force from me. Promised me he would make me rich and famous. Almost killed me in his backyard that day. And that story my mother was telling me because she thought I fell on a Tinker toy. That story was what made me remember it all to begin with. So you hear me tell that in the other two videos put together. We moved to Florida just after that, and the roof of my mouth was still covered with adhesive, and it was like a plastic. And I put Jedi Knights in the Force on a piece of paper while we lived in Florida. So I'm sure there's some pollens and stuff from Florida that were pretty exclusive to Florida. Here's an actual copy of that letter that I was waving in the first video from Lucasfilm telling me to stop writing. Here's an actual copy of the letter I wrote to the president after no lawyers or Oprah Winfrey or USA Today wouldn't listen to me. This was to George Bush. This is when I still thought that his last name was Lucas. So then I later got the copies of the suburban directories from the library. So again, to summarize, George Lucas and his cousin Jack Hemberger Jr. Took Jedi Knights in the Force from me in 1974 when I was 7 years old. You can watch the first video. It's called Sci Fi Revelation. The second one is called Sci Fi Revelation Evidence. So watch the first one first. Watch the second one, Evidence. And then watch this one, because this is just to go over some of the things I may have missed and to look at some more of the evidence that I have put together. And it's just a fact. He called himself a Methodist. My father was studying to be a Methodist preacher just before this happened, and you see the pictures in black and white from the church we went to at the time, and that was from the actual church booklet. And I remember going to Florida with my mouth covered, the roof of my mouth, and feeling with my tongue it was like plastic, and I hated that feeling. But that was neither here nor there. I mean, I wasn't angry at George and Jack for all these years. I'm not angry at him. I mean, when I first remembered, the last movie I went and seen was Phantom Menace with my friend, and that's before I remembered what happened. And if my mother hadn't told me the story about the stick, because she thought I actually fell on if you watch the first video, she thought I fell on the Tinker toy, and that's not what happened. And that's what brought this whole thing to light. Again, if I had never almost got killed by Jack in his backyard with a piece of rebar that was sticking out of the ground, I would have never remembered all of this. And George Lucas can hide and run and do whatever, try to spend all of his money to convince you that this didn't happen, but it did happen. And you can kill me, and it won't make a difference. It's still the truth. The truth will never go away. It's not something that can be bought, sold, or covered up forever. And 40 years is long enough. So you can say what you want about me. You don't know me. None of you do. There's a lot of people in this whole world who have judged me wrongly, and I think that I'm not sitting in judgment of anyone because of that. I mean, sometimes people just don't know, and I feel sad that this is something that took this long, and he never really came back and looked for me, and and saw where my life was or where it was headed, and reached out to help me. I mean, I helped him, you know. Uh, I don't understand that logic there, and you know, he can get angry over this, come after me. I don't really have anything for him to take, so whatever, do what you have to do. But the point of the matter is that you took something from me. It served you, but you never kept your promise, and you told me you would make me rich and famous. You didn't do that. You didn't even look at my life at any point and decide, this kid might need help. Maybe I could have went to college if you would have, said, hey, let me give him the money to go to college or do something, something. After all, what did I do for you, Anyway, I certainly don't understand your logic in this, but I'm not going to point my finger at you. I still think you did a wonderful job with the movies, and although the last one I saw, that I went to the theater scene was Phantom Menace, and I didn't actually see the other ones till a few years ago, and they were at somebody's house on cable, and I just decided to watch them, and I just don't think you still have the same feeling that you had with the first ones, and I think you lost something somewhere, and maybe this is something to do with it. Get the dark cloud off you, George. Tell the truth. One more quick little note, and this is to Jack Hamburger Jr. I mean, I'm not sure if you remembered what happened on Riata Drive in Robinwood in your backyard. I don't know if George has paid you to be quiet for all these years. Maybe he hasn't paid you enough, to be quiet about it. You certainly probably, I'm going to say you remember, but it would be hard probably to forget pointing a piece of rebar at some kid's face and watching him almost become impaled on it in your backyard and blood spraying out of his mouth. I would think somewhere in your memory there probably that's still there, and maybe you don't remember everything else that happened that day, or maybe you do. I know I traced you down after I found out your name from the Suburban Directory. Like I said, when I first started looking for you, I was looking for Lucas's, and I found a whole lot of Lucas's and none at the address on the Robinwood Road. And it wasn't until I reattained more records that I figured out that you were Jack Hamburger Jr. and not Lucas. So, and whether you're really his cousin, that's what I know. That's what you told me at the time, and that's why I asked my brother what a cousin was. And I don't know if you remember almost killing me, but I know you not only that, you hit me with a bat the first time you met me. Then you almost killed me with the rebar. Your memory, I'm sure, has that in there somewhere. I'm not sure that you remember helping George get Jedi Knights in the Force from me. Maybe you do. Maybe you remember standing in my front yard with us when we were playing the Pirates and I said Jedi Knights in the Force. Maybe you don't remember. But there were other kids there, like I said, and my brothers were there, and they vaguely remember. They don't completely remember, and my older brother remembered me saying something nice, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know why I remember now, and some things happened to me in '99, and I probably came pretty close to dying. And after that, I can only believe why I said in the first one that that the only reason I do remember is because of God. And I really honestly believe that, because I don't think that would just come out of nowhere and come back the way it did, unless there was some reason for it. And I believe that reason was God. And so if George, you want to fight God, that's between you and God. I can't rescue you from that one. Jack, again, after you hit me with a bat, then almost killed me with the rebar, maybe you remember me hitting you in the head with a rock when you were standing on the corner. I really didn't think I would hit you, but I did. So I don't know if you remember my father bringing me to your house and making me apologize to you after you almost killed me, but that happened too. And it's the most ironic thing is that when we left your house with my father, he looked at me and said, "Stay away from those people, son. They're no good." And I thought you're a little late for that one, Dad. You know. Um, anyway, my parents meant well. They didn't really understand what happened, and they were going through so much. I don't blame them at all for what happened. There was just too much going on with them. They were just, still going through the divorce and everything. Actually, well, that was 73, but they were still fighting in the custody thing, and there was so much going on. And my mom's brother died, and there was a lot, happening. And I don't blame either one for what happened and them not realizing what happened, but I do wish I would have remembered sooner. But again, from 1977 when I saw Star Wars until 2000 when my mother and me were sitting there with my friends, and she said the story about me following the stick, and I knew that was wrong. That's the distance of time that I forgot, and actually from the time I was 7 until Star Wars came out, that was about a 3-year period. So in a grand total, I forgot for 3 years, and then 23 years, so 26 years. And for the last 14 years, I've known, and I try to write you, and of course you try to get me in trouble, and so total of 40 years now since we first met, George, and you and Jack and me, and our little circle started then. Anyway, 40 years is a long time, and I think you would probably be best served to go ahead and end this lie now. And it's not a lie you told, but a lie of omission, and that's still a lie, regardless. And you never told anybody about me, and neither did Jack, or maybe he did. Maybe y'all did, and nobody told. I don't know. Maybe someone's trying to keep you from telling the truth. But if I were you, I think it'd be best to go ahead and do that, because it's your life, dude. And if you're gonna make an enemy of me at this point, and knowing I'm telling the truth, you're also making an enemy of God, and I don't think you want to do that, really. Anyway, take care. One last little note. Whenever I get the results from the forensic lab on the piece of paper from Florida from 1974, I'm going to share those results with you on YouTube, and I'm also going to share my medical records when I find those, and I'm sure the doctor probably didn't agree with my parents. He probably thought that they were lying to him, because when you examine a hole that was caused by a tinker toy, I'm sure there's not going to be rust all over it, and the doctor probably thought they were lying to him because there was rust in there, and I tasted the rust. Believe me, it doesn't taste good. It really, literally almost tastes like, I guess almost like wild onions when it's mixed with the blood in your mouth. And again, I'm describing that I remember that flavor, and it wasn't very pleasant at all. Anyway, I'm going to share everything I find with you, and if I get those medical records, I'll show you those too, and we'll see what the doctors thought. And anyway, you take care.